Hey, fifth graders, we've been working with testable questions and I thought it would be fun. After Halloween, I have some Haribo gold bears and it would be fun to try and do an investigation or a testable question with the gummy bears. And the testable question I was thinking of is to find out which liquid best dissolves a gummy bear. So I've had a gummy bear in my mouth here. I'm not chewing it, I'm just sort of letting it sit in there and eventually it dissolves or goes away. And so a great question for us to be able to investigate here in my homeschool lab would be to find out which liquid best dissolves a gummy bear over a 24-hour time period. So I'm going to set up a little experiment using three liquids to see which liquid will best dissolve the gummy bear. Things that I have at home, I'm going to use regular water. I've got some vinegar that I'm going to use, which is slightly acidic, and I'm thinking our saliva in our mouth, I think I've heard is an acid, or it's got acid in it, so I thought I'd use vinegar, which is an acid. And then cooking oil, vegetable oil, something that I have here in the house. So I'm going to set up an experiment to put a gummy bear in each of those three liquids to see if I can run a testable question with the one thing that I'm going to measure is how much does the gummy bear weigh when I start, and I'll weigh it at the end. And something else I just thought of, I think I might want to figure out if keep the liquid level the same in each of the experiments. So a variable is anything that could change, and if I put a different amount of liquid in, that might change the results. So I'm going to use one gummy bear of a certain weight with a certain amount of liquid and leave them sit for 24 hours. So I'm controlling the time, I'm controlling the amount of liquid, I'm going to weigh the gummy bears so I make sure that I'm not having interference where one of them started out heavier or one of them started off lighter. So trying to control everything that I can to run a controlled, testable experiment. Testable question is which which liquid best dissolves a gummy bear over 24 hours. And the thing I'm going to measure is the weight of the gummy bear to start and the weight of the gummy bear at the end. I will also measure the amount of liquid at the beginning, and I'm thinking now I better measure the amount of liquid at the end, because if the gummy bear is turning into a liquid, it should mean there should be a little bit more liquid if the gummy bear turns from a solid to a liquid. So I'm thinking those are the two things that I will measure: the weight of the gummy bear starting and ending, and the amount of liquid that I'm running the test in at the beginning, and the amount of liquid at the end. So I'm actually measuring two things simply because of the nature of this test. But we're really testing the one question of which liquid will best dissolve that gummy bear. All right, fifth graders, we need to weigh our Haribo gummy bears. Before we get started, I've got a gram scale. It looks like it says 0 right now. We're going to start with the red gummy bears. We'll weigh one at a time. That one is 1 gram. The second one is 1 gram. The third one is 1 gram. All of the red gummy bears are 1 gram. Let's try the yellow ones. 1 gram yellow bear. A 1 gram yellow bear. Back to 0 each time, you'll notice. And then a 1 gram yellow bear. Let's try the green ones, starting at 1 gram for that one. 1 gram for that one. And 1 gram for that one. So our gummy bears, all of the 9 of them, 3 reds, 3 yellows, and 3 greens, each of them weighs exactly 1 gram to start our experiment. We are trying to find out which liquid best dissolves gummy bears. So I've made a data recording sheet here. Got the question at the top. I've got my red gummy bear data, my yellow gummy bear data, and my green gummy bear data. I've got, going across the top for each one, I've got a starting liquid amount. I'm going to measure out 30 milliliters of water, 30 milliliters of vinegar, and 30 milliliters of oil. I have a spot to record how much liquid is left at the end, so we're going to be measuring that, as well as the gummy bear's starting weight was 1 gram, and its ending weight we will find out after 24 hours sitting in in the liquids. So let's get started making the 30 milliliters and putting, let's put the red gummy bear in there first. We'll put the red into each one, and you probably won't have to watch the whole thing, but let's start off. First one that I had on there was water. So let's get 30 milliliters of water. And I'm using a graduated cylinder, which is used for measuring, and right now it's 35. I need to dump some of that out. And I should have gotten the water out of my regular drinking glass because that is not working very well for me. And I should be right at, if I can get it to turn around the right way there, right at 30 milliliters of water. And we'll add that into the vial, testing vial. And I said we'll start with the reds. So we'll do one red in water. And I have a little marker here. I'm going to put a W on top of that. I think I will remember because vinegar smells bad, but it does look very similar to the vinegar. So now I've got one ready to go in water. I'm going to set the water aside now. Let's try one with, I think I'm going to do the vinegar next just because the oil is going to get my graduated cylinder a little bit messy. So here we go. Let's go with 30 milliliters of vinegar. Come on, you can come out. Got a little bit too much again, so I don't know if you guys saw that that is vinegar. And let's do one little drip out of there. And we are down to 30 milliliters of vinegar. So we will put our red one in there. We're doing red in water. We'll get the red in the vinegar. And I will put a V. Close that up really tight. A V, we don't want it to evaporate. We don't want to lose any of the liquid through evaporation. That's why I'm covering them. We learned about evaporation last year. If we leave water out, exposed for 24 hours, some of it will likely evaporate. And so let's get our red one into some oil. And then I won't have you watch me do all of the others. This will be a really long video. And brand new oil bottle here. 30 milliliters of cooking oil, vegetable oil. And that looks pretty close to 30, I guess. That looks about like 30 exactly. And we'll put that into the vial. Get all of it out. It looks like there was one drip of water in there because we know water and oil do not mix very well. All right, so I got as much out of there as I could. One red gummy bear headed into the oil. And a cover on there, and I'm not going to label that one. That one's pretty easy to tell. So we're going to leave these sit for 24 hours. In vinegar, this one says water. It's got the W on the top. I don't know if you can see that. Got a V for vinegar, and oil is pretty self-explanatory. So I will repeat this with the yellow gummy bears and the green gummy bears, and then we will leave them sit out, and I will check on them tomorrow. And when we check on them, we're going to be checking to see, we'll be recording how much does the gummy, whoops, sorry, my papers are falling over here. How much does the gummy bear weigh after the 24 hours? Is it still going to be there at all? Will I be able to weigh it at all? And then how much liquid is there? Because if the gummy bear dissolves, that probably means it goes into the liquid, and we might end up with, or my hypothesis is that I'll end up with more, what measures out as more liquid, because the gummy bear will have disintegrated and disappeared into the liquid itself, which would mean that should make there be an extra amount of liquid when I measure it out. That's my hypothesis, but the reason we do an experiment is to find out if what I'm thinking actually comes true. All right, fifth graders, all of the experiments are ready to go. I've got a gummy bear and a yellow one in water, vinegar, and oil, a green one in each, and a red one in each. I've got my data sheet ready to go. I've recorded the starting weight and the starting volume of the liquid involved. Scientists keep accurate records so that we can make good comparisons, running each test multiple times. So for 24 hours, we will let these gummy bears sit in the liquid before we come back, and I will see how much the gummy bear weighs, take it out of the liquid, and we'll see what the volume of the liquid is so that we can record our data as to which liquid best dissolves a gummy bear over 24 hours time. So we'll be back tomorrow with what the gummy bears look like.